What's going on, Trinity Cruikshank here with some more time to inspire the community about salvation. I'm hanging out in the area of psychology and business, pretty much pertaining to when first getting on the way in my academical experience. I tell the testimony, I tell the story pertaining to as soon as I come from the womb, finding in the gift of life, education to say to invest in um, preschool, kindergarten, junior education, and then going to college afterwards to invest in psychology and business. Um, so, with that, no further delay, get into this. I have this subtitle: Fears About the Body, Fears About the Body. And hanging out in the area of business of the two, there is where studies early in life got on its way in comprehending what psychology and business is. Um, to say I showed up to preschool with the words intact, but I didn't know how to pronounce them yet. I didn't know how to spell them. I didn't know of them. And then as things moved along gradually, I was able to come to acknowledgement and comprehension of it. And I would say that uh, before kindergarten was over, because it was prepping me to pronounce and to spell and everything. So in the area of business, things gets on its way in the area of things. One of the first lessons in business or teachings in business and things getting on its way was manifestations pertaining to I came from the womb and my guardians, they pretty much on the day, Monday through Friday, is only like in my life for 20 minutes, maybe 40 minutes at the maximums, Monday through Friday. That led things up to looking forward to Saturday and Sundays. Come they didn't work on Saturdays and Sundays, and so Saturdays was a whole 24-hour, and then bringing in spirituality that are bringing in a sanctuary, where there is the sanctuary is pouring in all this understanding in the body, right? So manifestations, they manifest and they manifest wherever they go, they leave, they manifest back in our lives again. Um, and so, in comprehending where do they manifest after manifesting here? And then education and teaching continues at their place of business. And then to say at uses of psychology at the place of business, their place of business, they are presenting action that pretty much allows to keep it at the house that's warm, the beds that's cozy, the television that's entertaining, the food that's coming from the stove itself, et cetera, uh, on the clock and working, laboring. To say action and psychology, we study action. And then again, over in business and thoughts of uh, consciousness, having the business conscious, where we are going to find spirituality in the picture. And put it like that because manifestation is also like a word of importance in spirituality, manifestation. So pretty much again, manifestations get things on its way. So manifesting in my life, the time being to say, uh, like in the morning, maybe like 20 minutes to get going before being dropped off at school. Then after school, uh, uh, getting home and it's cooking, prepping, and got to rest up. Got to do it all over again. So 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes um, after school to say a maximum of 40 minutes a day, Monday through Friday. Not to make it a discouraging messaging though, to say. And then things lead up to that Saturday. That's at 24 hours, and if you bring in spirituality and the sanctuary, that's another 24 hours. Um, but to say on the Sundays, the 24/7 on Sundays, where the sanctuary is just pouring in all this spirituality, is pouring in all this understanding and truth and guidance and everything that makes it enlightens the path. So with that, get into the subtitle. Again, this puts me at the beginning of when first started and highlighting that business. Fears about the body. Fears about the body. Your child's own body provides him with the basis for the third fear. Uh, Children are aware of how small and helpless they are in the real world. So to say your child's own body provides him with the basis uh, for this fear to say fears about the body. Children are aware of how small and helpless they are in the real world, and they are often afraid that their bodies will be hurt. Now, this puts me in the area of my action figures that I had. My action figures, to say again, in action being studied in psychology, are guardians, our parents in that area of our lifetime where they would manifest in our life and then leave to manifest at their place of work. And in manifesting at their place of work, it's allowing that things to be kept, the house, the coziness of the bed, the ovens that's cooking the delicious food, and et cetera, and even our toys. Uh, Allowed us to keep our toys, and then also goes over into and then more toys. The child like more toys, and comprehending and understanding. To say where we hear the terminology of keeping the lights on and keeping food on the table, to say. So in this area, I have my action figures, and out of all my action figures, uh, my favorite was Iron Man. And to find how did Iron Man land as my favorite uh, action figure out of all my action figures, in psychology there's sizing up to say where things go over to comparison. I wouldn't so much address when we going about comparing ourselves and thoughts of spirituality might cause us not to compare ourselves with one another, pretty much to say to hone in and find that of our own uniqueness. So there at the beginning of things, and this is like an area whenever I go into fellowship with the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, when in second grade, um, and then going to be baptized afterwards on September 5th, 1982. This was like to say, um, in before that in that area of things to mention it like that. So because wherever we find in encyclopedia or et cetera, the character Iron Man in Pacific is a atheist. Where to say doing then I yet to say fellowship with the Father, Son, Holy Spirit when in second grade. Then to say I yet was baptized, to say where the relationship is established and move forward, to say. So, in sizing up all my action figures, where Iron Man had landed as my favorite action figure, to say that so in continuance, in sizing up to see where was some duplication, some replication, because the action figures were presenting human, and then here I am on life, just starting out and presenting human myself. So there's some like some harmony and so I say comparison, but some replication, let's say. And so, out of all the characters, for example, like Superman, he came from space. Came from space, to say. And then to say Iron Man, well, that's a guy, that's a human. He puts armor on. And then to say it goes over into what is a superhero? What is a superhero? And let's say we answer superhero is a human that comes into, let's say, some empowerment. And with that empowerment, they use it to save people. So Iron Man, his empowerment is his armor when he put on his body. That's like doing then when I would put my uniform on to get to my prestige school or my private school. Put my uniform on, I take my uniform off. I put my uniform on, I put my uniform off. And then I'm using that to sizing up to say replication or replicating at what Iron Man was doing. He put his armor on, he put his armor off, or he takes his armor off. He puts his armor on, he takes his armor off. So in finding that uh, replication that like replicate my centric, to say that will bring in like what can be possible, what's possibilities, and what it make it out to be possible. Well, again, I'm putting on my uniform, or taking my uniform off, and it replicates to where uh, Iron Man will put on his armor and take his armor off. Now, when we get into other action figures, and many of them there, but just using that comparison, I see this as perfect words, perfect description. We thought of Superman, to say his outfits underneath his clothes is synthetic. The armor of Iron Man, it's else than synthetic, and it's like not underneath the clothes, it's on top of the clothes, to say, right? Armor. So that's to say, giving insight to where and how Iron Man had landed as my favorite hero at the start thing, my action figure, amongst my action figures. And again, to say keeping reality involved, right? We'll get into a little bit more of that word reality. With that, again, the armor pertaining to fears about the body. Again, your child's own body provides him with the basis for to say the fear pertaining to the fear about the body. Children are aware of how small and helpless they are in the real world, and they are often afraid that their bodies will be hurt. In addition, their ability to distinguish between what's real and what's unreal is not yet consolidated. And that's the word reality to say. Uh, Young children ages 2 to 5 can feel confused by the blurred distinction between reality and fantasy. There is truly that word. Reality and fantasy presented by cartoons, movies, and television programs because they do not yet have the advantage of understanding how the body works. Young children observe the world about them and come to their own conclusions. Toys break, so they think that they can break apart too. Perfect words when I think on experiencing at my action figures. And getting into my action figures, I wouldn't want them to break so that they can be available come my playtime. Um, then to again add my action figures castrating off human experience while uh, while I was enjoying my action figures, I'm castrating off human experience. I'm just starting out in the human life timeline. So where I wouldn't want them to break, that went over into giving thought to man, toys break, so they think that they can break apart too. So now there is the thinking on the body being broken. So again, fears about the body. Again, in psychology, where we study reality and we're studying sizing up and the where this is like a perfect fit in topics that are landed in the universal psychology and all the teachings. And then business is at the uses of Iron Man. Well, the character Tony Stark's Iron Man, he's a successful business person. He does good in business and everything. So the grabs at that are also where we find from a business uh, conscious perspective, the storyline. We, we have the business universe and we have all this about it that we are learning of. And where we find the storyline is found to be reigning like there at the top. If there was to be a choosing of, okay, what's the best technique we have, what's the best, and we find it's a storyline, right? So find that to be way precise. So again, and tapping into the realm of the universe of business, there's where the character using the Iron Man, where he is a successful businessman. So again, pertaining to fears about the body and where this puts me at the beginning of my academical experience and where I have my action figures and um, in the thoughts of the character that I'm using here, the armor that he would put on his body to give thoughts to fears about the body, putting the armor on to protect away from the body.